Yes. Hi, people. Hello, welcome, guys. Thank you all for joining. Good evening, and welcome to day 10 of the Borderless Summit. Thank you all for joining. Good evening. How has been the day? You carry first, absolutely. Thank you for joining. I am Isaac. I see you. It is Perico. I am Mike. Thank you so much for joining and for carrying first today. Thank you so much. Good evening, guys. How has been the day? Thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you. We're gonna be starting very soon, as is customary. I do a little bit of a background of the conversation for today, and then we get right into it. But before we do that, you know how we do this. Please share with your network, share with your friends. Thank you for joining Obafemi. Share on your story, share on your live, share in any area or in any platform that you can share. But thank you guys for joining. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I made it to day 10. I can't believe it. Day 10. 10 days of doing this. Wow. Interesting. But thank you all for joining. Thank you so much. So please, guys, if you can share this, it will be good. If you can send it to someone, it will be great. Or maybe you know someone that needs to be here tonight. It will be good. So what are we talking about today? Keep pushing. Thank you, Obafemi. I'm just going to pin the comments right away. We're actually discussing how to charge what you're worth. It's an umbrella conversation, right? A lot of conversation beneath this charging what you're worth. You know, things like imposter syndrome, things like understanding, what you carry, understanding the value that you bring to the table, being realistic with the capacities that you have, understanding, how to position yourself, how to charge your worth, how to deal with imposter syndrome, like I said, how to even build a community, how to, we're going to have all those conversations, but I just didn't know the right umbrella topic to use. And that's why I said, you know what, let's go for how to charge your worth, because it starts from that feeling of understanding the value that you carry. Every other thing will then begin to fall under it, and that's what we're going to be doing today. Thank you for joining, Adewale. So I'm just going to pin in the topic right away, and then we're also waiting for my guest today. I'm going to be having Salem King join us. It's going to be an amazing session. If you follow Salem King and you probably watched this video, there's one thing that will jump out for you. It will be his consistency. He's a content creator, very good at what he does, but the consistency is another thing. So we're going to be talking about the consistency. How do you build consistency in the work that you do? Because sometimes, to be honest, we get tired. You are doing something in whatever area, you're selling something, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you're a career professional, you're in the gig economy, you're a freelancer, you have products or services that you offer, that you render. Sometimes we get tired. So this conversation is going to be all round. It's going to be an engaging one as well. So I'll be asking questions. I want you guys to please keep the chat box engaging. I want to know your perspective about certain things as well. And so that's what we're going to do. Let me pin the topic right away. Thank you. How to charge your worth. Gig economy. Let me put it this way. Thank you guys. Gig economy. Okay. While we're waiting for my guest, because he communicated, there's a little bit of a delay, I am going to kickstart the conversation, and hopefully he's able to join us. Thank you, Big Sis. I see you joining. Dayo London, thank you for joining. Princess, thank you so much for being a part of this. So let's start. Let's really start. To even talk about charging your worth, a lot of times people don't even know their worth. You can't even talk about how to charge, how to increase your value in the face of people. Let's be very practical. You can't talk about how to ask for a raise in your salary, for example. Or you're selling something, you want to increase the amount that you sell it. Or you're rendering a service and you want to increase the premium that you place on it. You cannot do that if you don't understand the value of what you carry. I think that is really very fundamental. And if you don't understand what to carry, then you can't begin to ask for a raise, because people will always push back. They will ask you, Madam, you sell this thing. This is how much I buy it. Oh God, this is how much you do these things. In fact, other people charge the same amount. So why are you talking about increasing? Or why are you talking about adding more money? Why are you talking about increasing the fee that we pay you, it would be a question. And if you don't understand the value that you bring as well, that is where imposter syndrome begins to come in. So let me define imposter syndrome in my own understanding. And it happens to the best of us. It's not just people who don't know anything, or the people it happens to the best of us. In a late time, in my own understanding of imposter syndrome, not a Google definition. We can use a Google definition later, but it's simply just not recognizing the feeling of not knowing enough, not doing enough, and not recognizing the value and the skills or the capacity that you have. Now, we're not saying you're perfect. There is a learning curve. There is the room to grow and to learn more. That is there. But what you know is enough. Hey, finally, my guest made it. Thank you. I was beginning to get worried, like, oh, maybe, you might not be able to come in. But thank you for joining. Thank you so much. I was still trying to lay the foundation, but I see that you've joined. Guys, we're starting very shortly. Please, I don't know if Okoyemi is here. If you can share this link with the community at the back end, kindly share with the Freelance Advantage group, just so that people know that we've started. Joining in 5, awesome, that's fine. I'll just give you 5 minutes. By 8:10 or 8:11 p.m. you should be ready. But thank you so much. So guys, we'll be starting very shortly. My guest is already here. He's confirmed his attendance, and I'm super excited for that, because I was about to start carrying you guys to where you don't know. But I'm happy. Thank you so much, Salem. We'll be waiting for you. Guys, please share this. If you can also copy the link and just share with the community that we've started, it will be good. But I mean, just as I was saying, you can't begin to talk about how to charge your worth if you don't have an understanding of your worth in the first place. And that's one of the things that I tell people. One of the practical examples that I like to give about this conversation, charging your worth, understanding what you carry, knowing your capacities. I remember when I was charging $5 per hour. I mean, I remember 2020. In fact, I had applied for a job that was 50 cents. It was a $0.50 type of job per application. It was an HR job, so I was meant to apply on behalf of a guy, something related to that. But I was willing to start that way because I just thought, I mean, this is a good thing. At least let me start from somewhere. And I remember I moved from that to charging $5 per hour. It was such a big deal for me. In fact, there was a time I did a job that was $600 per month. If you break that down into per hour, it was probably maybe $3 per hour. But it was a big deal for me because I thought, you know what, this is good. How many Nigerians are earning $600 per hour aside my full-time salary? And then late last year, I told myself, I said, you know what, I'm going to stop charging all these $5. I see people earning more. Is there something I don't know? Is there something I'm not aware of? And then I'm going to start charging $10 per hour. And I changed my profile and I got the jobs. I'm like, what's going on? Now, this is a conversation that I'm using freelancing, the gig economy as an example. But it is not limited to you being a freelancer. It is not you limited to being a professional, a career professional earning per hour. This is also relatable to you if you're an entrepreneur. You're a service provider. For example, maybe you're an MC or you're selling products. You're selling items. It's very relatable to you. Or you are even working. You're working and you're a full-time servant. You've been on the same salary for years. This conversation is very relatable to you as well. Consistency. You've been consistent, but you're just not able. You don't think people should be able to pay you that amount. And, just as I was saying, when I saw that even this $10, I think I have outgrown this season. It's time to push further. And I was able to push higher to what I earn now. Now, what this thing taught me, of course, it took close to 2 years to achieve all of this growth. It doesn't come at once, but it's been a learning curve for me. It's been a journey to say, you know what? Once you realize that you have outgrown a season, just like in Christendom, we will say that you've been on this mountain for too long. There are times you realize in the work of your hand that you've been on a certain mountain for too long. It doesn't mean you have arrived. It just means that you've grown. And if you've truly grown in your craft, it should show in the income you bring home. It should show in the things that you're getting. It should show in the results you're getting as well. So I know a lot of us are so scared. In fact, I'm going to be very practical in this example that I just gave. 2020, and I know the people in my corner, in my community will know this story. I've shared it over and over again. 2020, my salary was 150,000 naira. 2020, and I think, 150. And when I started earning from online, like from the gig economy, started freelancing, I started earning more than my salary. Adewale, I've shared. Oh, thank you so much. It did something to me. It showed me that if people who have never seen me, that I'm working with online, Maybe customers that have never seen you, they can order for this amount of money online. They can be paying me times 2 of my physical salary. What is the company that I'm working for seeing me every day, Monday to Friday? Why are they paying me this low? It changed something in me, and I resigned. I'm not doing it again. The next job I was going to get, I asked for times 4. Yeah, it's because it did something to my mindset. So I'm saying it's a journey, but you need to realize. Thank you. My guest is ready. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Akoyemi, for joining. Charis Touch, thank you. Chima, I see you. Thank you. My guest is ready, so I'm just going to bring him up. Before I can. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, that's my own story, and I think we'll still come back there. But I really want us to get right into this. No time. Yay!
Hi,
Hi, Salem. Are you there?
I'm great.
Good
Can you hear
evening.
me?
Thank you for making it. Let
Yeah,
me
I'm glad I
see.
could make it.
You're
I'm so
breaking
sorry
a
I'm
bit.
late.
Oh, it's fine. Okay, I can see you now. I can see you now. Thank you for joining. I know it's been a very busy day, and I apologize for the traffic as well, but thank God you're here. Good to have you. Thank you so much for being a part of this. Are you still there? Let me be sure.
I'm so glad. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh,
Thank you for
awesome.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I remember the last time we had a podcast, I think it's close to 2 years now, over a year ago, the Imposter Syndrome podcast. Once in a while, I still go back to that podcast. I'm like, this is phenomenal. Thank you thank you so much. Guys, please show some love to my guests in the chat room, please. Please do. I just want to see some love emojis. I want to see some red, please. You guys should, how we do it here, please do that for us. Thank you. Thank you, Salem. No time. I mean, because we already know that time is going.
Yeah.
I thought about, let's give a bit of a background to what we're trying to do here, in case you're just
Mhm.
wondering, what is this about? What is this Borderless Summit about? Just a little bit of a background. Over the
Yeah.
last 10 days, I've been having this program called the Borderless Summit, where we're really having conversations about African talent, defining the narratives, shaping culture, global positioning, branding, because we just really realize it's a borderless world. So whatever you are doing, whether you're selling something, an entrepreneur, you're a career professional, you're a digital creator like yourself, you're in content, you are in graphics, in whatever field you find yourself, your talent, how can you begin to take your skills global from the little corner of your house in Lekki? How can you do this thing better? Are there people who need your skill? And then to do all of that, we probably need to have certain conversations like branding, consistency, community building. All of these things is what I've been trying to do. And when I got to the part of consistency, talking about, charging your worth, knowing your worth, showing up and all of that, overcoming imposter syndrome, I just thought in my head that Salem is the best person to do this, because I have, over the last few years following you, seen, your consistency as well. Looking from afar, I'm like, oh my God, the boss in that game. We're learning from afar, right? You are the best person to have this conversation with. And thank you so much, for saying yes to that.
Thank you for having me. I'm so honored.
Thank you. Thank you. So this is going to be a Q&A, to be honest, but I really want us to start from somewhere, right? Just to give a bit of a background for people as well. For you, what is the journey like for you in terms of showing up consistently? Because at there times you get tired, truly. I want us to start from the basis, right? Before we begin to talk about how to charge your worth. How is it like for you showing up consistently on the streets of, social media and building a brand that people can identify with? Let's start from there. What do you think?
That's a great question. Please confirm that you can hear me well.
Loud and clear. I
All
can.
right. So, that's a great question. I'm so glad you asked, because it's a real thing, and people often feel like once you attain a certain level of success or comfort, then that stops happening, because you're just inspired by the money, and because you always have a paycheck, you're fine. Sometimes you tell people you're sad, and you're like, how can you be sad? Don't you have this and this and that,
That followers.
Exactly. And so sometimes it feels lonely. You can't really talk to people. They don't understand. They don't see things from your perspective. But it's a very real thing. Like, I get tired. But one of the things that keeps me going at different points has been different things keeping me going. But before, I used to always, try to show up because I felt like, okay, people need me. I need to show up because these people need me. But over time, I've also learned to put myself first, because, and not see it like, oh, these people need me, because that just thinking, oh, these people need me, just ended up putting me under a lot of pressure because I felt like whether I'm healthy or not, I need to show up for these people. Otherwise, they're going to move on to somebody else. Right. But over time, we might be able to talk about that later. I've also learned so much, about how to retain an audience such that I am allowed to take breaks. And it doesn't mean that my audience is just going to move on and somebody else is going to replace me. So I've become a lot more secure. Yeah, I've become a lot more secure in my place and who I am and the value that I bring, that I now understand that if I want to take a break, even if I'm away for 6 months, nobody else can be Salem. Until I come back, there's no Salem. Do you understand? And yeah, there's only one me, and that has taken some time. So now I show up because I feel like, oh, this is something that I get to do. I don't see it anymore as, oh, I have to show up. I feel like I get to show up. This is a privilege. I get to work online. I get to do a job where I can work from anywhere in the world and it doesn't affect anything. I get to do what I love. I get to help people and get paid in the process, all of that. So I start to think about it as a privilege I have rather than this responsibility and obligation. Even though it is a responsibility, it also is a privilege, and I'm just honored to bring myself to it. And when I need to rest, I just rest because I know that I cannot pour from an empty cup.
Absolutely.
I can't give what I don't have.
What you don't have.
Yeah, I can't be valuable to my audience. I cannot be valuable to the brands I work with. I will just not bring my best self to the job if I am not pouring from a place where I am, if I'm not functioning from a place of abundance, basically. So, yeah, I get tired all the time. Today is one of those days where if it was just up to me, if it was just me that was doing this Instagram live, I'll probably have just come to my Instagram and be like, everybody, not today. Thank you so much. We'll do tomorrow. But I'd already made this commitment to you. So I'm like, no, I have to make it work. Even if I'm late, I have to make it work. We have to do this. So a lot of things happen like that. We have a lot of days. Like, I'm sure you have a million stories yourself of things like that. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. I love that. Thank you so much. Because a lot of times we see the glamorous part of it. We come online and we see like, oh my, this guy is, whether they pay you or not, he's always showing up. It means you are not tired. It means you have everything sorted out. You are so passionate about it that you. And I think that is fueled by the narrative when people say when you find something you love, you never have to work again. That mentality that once you find, the work that you love, you never have to work again. I think that is so wrong. You want to say something about that, Salem?
I believe it too, because I read a lot of books before I even ever started creating content. A lot of the stuff that made it to my content is stuff that was in my notepad like 5 years ago. Like it wasn't new to me, So of course I had come across that whole philosophy of if you find something that you love, you never have to work a day in your life. And even though I understand the sentiment behind that statement, it can also be misleading without context. So if you take that saying out of a book now, for example, I have a feeling that statement was part of a chapter of a whole book. Do you understand?
A whole book,
and, but if you just take it as a quotable and quote it to somebody who's in university, for example, it's misleading. Because one thing I now found out when I started to do what I loved is that there were so many parts of what I loved that I absolutely hated.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For example, I hate emails. Oh my God. Like every time I have to respond, every time I have to do emails. I don't understand people that wake up every morning and just open their email. Oh my God. Like, how are you doing it? Do you have superpowers? That's how I see it, because that was something I didn't like. I didn't like the accounting. I don't enjoy the fact that even though I'm a creative person, I need to treat my work like a business, because it is a business. I wish I could just come online and just make videos and just have fun, and all of that. But I can't. I need to treat it like a business, right? I have people to pay, and stuff.
Yes.
And all of that. So yeah, I would just say it's important to know that even with the work you love, there will be parts of it that you don't love. There'll be parts at the end of the day, still work. And what I now settled for, well, let me not say settled, but what I now decided as the sweet spot for me was committing to increasing the quality of my problems, right? Let me explain. So problem no dey
Okay.
finish. All of us know now. Like no matter
Mm,
what stage you are in life, problems never end. Problems never go away.
mm.
But what I'm committed to is increasing the quality of my problems to the point where when I have a problem, I'm able to look at the problem and say, that's a good problem. That's not a problem I had 2 years ago. So this is a problem
Okay.
I have because of the stage of life that I am now at.
Mm.
Right? So if, for example, you don't have a car, you have transportation problems, you are fighting conductor, or you're spending too much on Uber, or you're spending too much on Bolt.
Yes.
Those are problems, but those are problems that somebody who doesn't have a car has. If you have a car, you now have, sometimes you might scratch somebody on the road, or
Yes.
you have to go to
Who
the
else can
mechanic, or
have your business?
do you understand? So all those things happen, but you're in a better place. You have higher quality problems because now you have a car, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Mm.
how I think about it. If you're broke, you have money problems. If you're rich, you also have money problems, but
You
it's a
still have a
different
money
kind of
problem.
problem. Do you understand?
Yes.
Like it's a higher quality problem. So I'm
Mm.
constantly on a journey to like just increase the quality of my problems, no matter what stage of life I'm at. So if I'm doing
Mm.
work, I know that okay, if there are parts of the job that I don't love, I know it's because I chose this path. I know it's
Mm.
not because somebody is shouting on my head that you have to do this. I know it's because
Yeah.
this is the path
It's
I
part of
chose.
what.
Do you understand?
Mm.
And even if you're in
Yes.
a position where somebody is shouting on your head, you can also, say, okay, this guy is shouting on my head, but I'm earning 10 times more than I was earning last year. So maybe this
So
is a
it's a
high quality
problem.
problem. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
all about perspective for me, and
I
I've
agree.
sort of let go of the thing of, never having to work a day in my life. I mean, I'm excited
Yeah.
about work because it's what I
Mm.
chose. So yeah.
Mm. Awesome. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you so much. I want us to speak a bit about, because you touched on in terms of you showing up the part of the work that we love, that we don't love. And then you talked about even the monetization part
Mm,
when you said, I have to pay people. There are people I need to pay. And that brings us to the monetization part. Have you freelanced before? I wanted to
mm,
know, do you freelance at all? If you do, and even on a general level, for people who don't freelance here, whether you're an entrepreneur, whatever you do, you are sure on this street of Instagram, you are doing something and you're there for a reason.
mm.
How then do you begin to understand your worth to the level where you then begin to say, you know what, I want to begin to charge for it, and then charging your through worth? I want us to pick it up from there.
That's a good question. That's a good question. There's so much content online. Guys, I'm on your side. Just stay with me. No matter what I say, just I'm on your side. So there's so much content online about charging your worth, and there
Mm.
isn't enough explaining how to actually find out your worth. Because when people say charge your worth, the assumption is your worth is high. But for some people, your worth is actually not high. It's
We're realistic.
Do you get like your market value is not high, and that's something you need to be aware of because self-awareness is the first step, right?
Yes.
So before we even talk about charging your worth, it's important for you to know your worth. What do you know? What do you not know? What's the gap between where you are and where you are supposed to be? What's the job you want? What are the requirements for that job, or what are the requirements for that amount of money you want to make? And which
Mm.
qualifications are you lacking? Those are the things, those are the areas where you need to be honest with yourself first. Otherwise, you're
Mm.
going to go out there and charge your worth, and the
Yeah.
the universe is going to remind you that you're not there yet,
Yes.
right? And then you come online and rant and say that nobody wants to charge your worth, nobody wants to do this, nobody wants to do that.
Mm.
I've had one thing I've always experienced, right, is the difference between, like, if I pay 20 naira for the same thing and I pay 120 naira for two things that
Mm.
are seemingly the same thing, there's always a difference, right?
There will be.
There's always a difference. Sometimes the difference is in how it arrives. The difference is in the customer service. The difference is in
Mhm.
how many times they call you to find out about your specifications. All
Yeah.
those little things, they make a difference. So as a freelancer, you need to think about yourself as a business and think, how am I going to improve the processes? When people experience me,
Mm.
what's their experience going to be like?
Mm.
So I'm going to tell you
Mm.
guys one small thing that I tweaked that made me able to charge more. Very tiny thing. Now I'm an influencer, so a huge part of my revenue is from influencer partnerships, right? At some point, I got a
Yeah.
manager, and this was at this point, it wasn't even popular for content creators to have managers. It was musicians and actors and people that had
Oh, content
managers.
creators are now. Oh,
Yes,
I
yeah,
think
yeah. I've
you.
had a
Yes.
manager for 3 years.
Oh my. Wow.
So at this point, I didn't even have up to 10K followers. I didn't have up to 10K followers. A friend of mine, somebody that I look up to, he said, "I need to get a manager." I'm like, "Manager? I can't get a manager now. How much will I? How much am I
Wow.
making? I can't get." And he's like, "No, no, no. Don't think about it as finding somebody in the industry who's already established. Think about which of your friends is like business savvy and wants to see you in. Who's that?" And once he said it, like the picture came to my mind, and I went to ask that friend, "You, here's what I'm doing, or see what I'm trying to build. I'm about to leave my job and face this thing full time. Come and be my manager." And this friend is like somebody who just loves a challenge, right? So he's like, "Let me go and think about it." After he thinks about it, he comes back with a contract. And that's how I knew that, this is the right person. Because me in my mind, I'm like,
Wow.
"We're friends. Why are you bringing contract?" But he's like, "No, this
Why?
is
Why
this is business."
anything?
Now that's the person who built my entire content creation career into a business. Because me, it was a hobby, right?
Mm.
Now back to this small thing, this small change I made that made me able to charge more. When you send me an email for work, I tell you to speak to my manager.
Wow.
Now
Okay.
at the time, I didn't know any other content creator that was at the level that
Please.
was doing speak to my manager. And I wasn't just trying to stunt or anything. He was the business manager, right? So anything
Mm.
that was related to money, you had to speak to my manager.
Yeah, you
And
have.
I didn't see this coming, but it just made certain brands respect me more. They just saw that, oh,
Mm.
wow, there's some structure here. Oh, this guy is serious. This guy is not just one
Mm.
random somebody on Instagram. Because you send me a
Wow.
DM, I think send me an email. We're not going to negotiate via
Have
DM,
your
right?
Instagram.
I need a paper trail. So so
Mm.
that just made people see that, oh wow, this guy is serious. So you send me a DM, I send you my rate card, we agree on price, I send you an invoice from my company, not as Salem
Oh,
King, from my
I love
company.
it.
So all of this,
Mm.
all these things put together it makes sense. When I call a certain price, it makes sense. Right? Because I'm paying my manager.
Yeah.
You know that Salem King, when I say, oh, my team will get back to you, I'm not just saying it. I do have a team. Right? So that was
Mm.
like a small change that sort of
I love
changed everything. So I would tell everyone to first understand where you are. So for me, for
it.
example, at that level, I knew that, okay, this is where I am. This is what I want to charge. I don't think I can negotiate that for myself.
Mm.
My
Mm.
negotiation skills are not great. I want to learn, but my influence is growing faster than my business acumen is growing. So
Itself.
I need to
Mm.
outsource that part. Do you get? I can't wait
Mm.
till I learn. So I outsource that part. So it's good for you to know. It's so good for you to know what your shortcomings are. Not so that you internalize it and say, I have it worse than everybody. My own
You
is
know,
finished. I
I
can't do
can't do.
anything. No, it's good for yeah, it's good for you to know your loophole so you know that okay, who knows what I don't know? What do I need? Do I need an online course? What do I need? Do I need an ebook? What do I need? Do I need to read a book? Do I need to attend a class? Do I need to hire a manager? Do I need to go and intern somewhere?
Yes. Yes.
Do you understand? Do I need to go and intern
Yes.
somewhere? Do I need to go and work with somebody for 3 months and say, oh, these are my skills. I see that you're building this. You don't need to pay me. This is what I can do. I just want to do it for you for the next 3 months. Do you
Hmm.
understand? So
I
now I
love
had
it.
to lay that foundation before we get to the
Mm.
point of talking about charging your worth.
Yeah.
Because the confidence to charge your worth will often come from your investment in yourself. A
Yeah.
lot of people are unable to charge because they haven't invested jack in themselves. And I don't just mean money, I also mean
Mm.
time, all of that. But yes, money too. There's one time when I was afraid to charge for like a class, or I don't remember what it was, but there was something I wanted to learn. And I paid for a course that time. I think it was like 3 years ago. I paid for a course. I used all my money and I paid in dollars. When I paid for that course, I felt pain in my chest. The next person I talked to that told me how much last, I didn't even answer them again. Like, I
No time.
became angry. Do you understand? The
I
confidence
experienced
to
it this
charge,
year.
the confidence to charge just
Hmm.
dropped on me from nowhere. Right? I have not
Hmm.
even consumed the course yet. Though. Just the fact that I removed that amount of money from my account and paid in
Yeah.
dollars for
Yeah.
that course, it just made me angry that I cannot invest this much in myself, and then
Hmm.
you now want me to charge. Do you understand? So a lot of
Okay.
us are not confident because we've not invested in ourselves. We've not invested time. You've not. A lot of people want to lead and they haven't followed anybody. In
Hmm.
my ebook, in my ebook community, I talk about the fact that if you want to build a community, the first thing you need to do, which is something people don't expect to hear, the first thing you need to do if you want to build a community is to join one.
Oh.
You need to
To
join a
join one.
community. You've never been in a community. You want to build. Where do you want to start from? You don't know how
Hmm.
communities work.
What is your template?
What's your
Hmm.
template? You've not been a resourceful member of a community. You want to be a leader. You want people to follow you. Do you
Hmm.
understand? So these are the things, right? So first of all, understand
Hmm.
your worth. Be honest with yourself about the level that you're at. Be honest with yourself about your current status. Be honest with yourself about your current circumstances. What have your past experience, your past exposure, your education, which level has it brought you to now? What level are you now?
Yeah.
Take that stock, and based on that, analyze where do you want to be. Do some future pacing. Where do I want to be? What is the gap between where I am and where I want
Hmm.
to be? What is the difference
Hmm.
between who I am and who I want to be? This person that has gone ahead to do this and I want to do that, what have they done that I have not done?
Hmm.
What have they invested that I haven't invested? Or let's say sometimes you don't even have to invest as much as others. Have they written a book? I'm going to read the book. Do they have
Hmm.
an online course? You need to go and buy the online course, because there's
Yeah.
a chance
Hmm.
that you don't even need to do everything they did, because they already did everything, made all the mistakes,
Hmm.
documented it, and then you can just consume that, right? So
Yeah.
it's like 2 years worth or 3 years worth of experience, and then you can consume it in 1 hour. Why would you pass up on that,
Why would you
right?
do all of that? Hmm.
Now, I'm saying all of this because I understand that there will be people that will say, oh, I want to invest in, but I don't have money. You have time. You have time. If you don't have money, like if you don't have money and you also don't have time, I don't know what to say. But if
I don't know
I
where
want to
to.
assume, I want to assume that if you don't have money, you have time, right? You can
Hmm.
invest time. You have emotions, you have skills, you have energy that you can just give. There's somebody who has become my close friend now. Some people, who, if you follow me, you probably know by now. He literally just sent me them one day and said, Salem, I heard you're in Lagos. Whenever you are doing anything, hit me up.
Hmm.
I will take you there. Do you understand? I'll take all your pictures. I'll do everything. He was literally
Wow.
just a random follower. Now he's my friend. Because I was
Wow.
afraid to disturb him the first time. But I called him and he came. I called him
Hmm.
another time. He came. He showed up. I was going to Covenant University to have my TED talk. This
A
guy went
TEDx.
to Covenant. He went to Ottawa with me.
Wow.
Jiggy, like he went to Ottawa with me, came
Yeah.
back. I'm like, wow, okay, this guy is serious. And now he's my
Hmm.
close friend. Sometimes, sometimes we'll just be together and he'll start asking me. So, Sam, I wanted to ask you, how did, I know he's picking my brain, but I
And
don't
that's
mind,
yeah.
right? I know, and
Hmm.
like he has access to me, he has 100, like if he calls me in the night and anything is wrong with him, I'll leave what I'm doing for him.
And
And
go.
this is somebody that was just a random follower on Instagram,
Whoa.
right? So if you don't have money, he has not spent 1 naira in my direction. Me, I've spent in his direction. Do you understand?
Hmm.
It's not so.
Yes.
If you don't have money, you have time, right? Charging your worth. I think we should go deeper into that, like the other questions.
Yeah. I love where we are already.
But this is
Talk
the
about the
first
gap
step.
analysis. Let's get right into it. Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
You've laid the foundation in terms of, the gap analysis, know where you are, and then know where you want to get to. The in-between
Mm-hmm.
conversation, you have to be able to invest in yourself. And just like you said about that charging higher, I remember that I used to do my coaching program last year. People who have joined my coaching program would testify. Last year, I used to do 5,000 naira or 10,000 naira for 2 days, like $10. I paid 3,000 something dollars for a course this year. After that, I changed. $200 for nothing. Don't come close. Then I'm like, I can't, somebody is charging this amount of money for knowledge and I
Mm-hmm.
could pay for it.
And
I
they
had
don't
to pinch
even know
myself.
you.
Oh my God. Yes. And I'm like, wow. And people want these things for free. No, 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 no. And I stopped all those 5K, 10K thing. I'm not doing anymore. God, I beg. I'm out. So you have to be able to invest in yourself enough to say, you know what? I deserve better. So do a gap analysis, like Salem said. Where am I? Where do I want to get into? Understand what is in between that journey. Then go for it. A book, ebook, whatever it is, go for it. Now, like you said, let's get right into charging your worth itself. Now that we've laid the foundation, before you charge your worth, you've identified your worth, you know what to do. What do you think? How then do we begin to raise the value higher?
Amazing. That's a great question. And the answer is in the question. How do you begin to increase your value? It's by investing. It's that simple. If you want to,
Mm,
if you want to, if you want more water in a cup, you pour water in it. It's just that
mm,
simple, right? So you invest
mm.
in yourself, invest in and practice. So another part, because people might be listening to me and think I'm only saying invest in yourself as in, read books, absorb, absorb, absorb. No,
Grow.
part of investing, you need to also invest in experience,
Okay,
right?
now.
So for somebody who's a content creator, for example, or a coach, the lowest, the lowest hanging fruit is social media. To just start putting yourself out there on social media, to start teaching. I always
Mm,
knew I had a passion for teaching since I was a
mm.
teenager, right? Well, I I thought it was something I could only do when I was more grown up because all the people I looked up to as a teenager, Steve Harris, Fela Durotoye, Bankole
Yeah.
Williams, all these guys, they sort of had a life where they worked in a bank, worked in
Mm.
different corporate settings, and then after a while, they left
The
and
step
went into
coach.
consulting full time. So I thought
Yeah.
that had to be the path of my life, right? Like I would have to give my life to corporate, learn the ropes and everything, and then after that, you
And start
know.
teaching.
But I started because I thought if when you're 21 years old, what do you want to tell people about life? Nobody will listen to you. But I started making content, and apparently there were people who needed what I knew,
At that
right?
level.
At that level. So, because when I started making, I was just making videos. I was just putting my thoughts out there. I wasn't trying to be a content creator. I wasn't trying to be an influencer. I literally was just having fun with the thing. I had 1,500 followers in my mind. I'm like, if I can just get from 1,500 to 2,000 in 1 month, because I wanted to post 30 videos in 30 days. And in my mind, I'm
Mm.
like, if I can just go from 1,500 to 2,000, I'll be mad. Like, I would have blown. And in that 1 month, I went from 1,500 to 5,000. I didn't see it coming. I wasn't trying to grow. I was just putting videos out,
Mm.
right? So that was an investment in myself. Even though it was going out, like I said,
Yes.
a lot of the videos I made in those 30 days, it was stuff that had been in my notes for 5 years. I'm not even exaggerating. Like it had been there. It was nothing new.
Mm.
It was old content. Well, it
Mm.
wasn't even content to me. It was just, oh, I'm learning this, and then I take notes. So it was. I used to use Google Keep. So if you use Google Keep, all your notes were like it was saved in every device. So every device I would move
Yeah.
to,
It
everything was
moves.
like backed up permanently. So it was just I was just sharing some of that stuff, and everybody was like, "Wow, I needed that." I mean, my mind,
It,
I'm like, you did not know this small
this
thing.
was.
But apparently, there were people that needed that. Do you get? So I would
Yes.
say everybody invest in experience by just putting
Mm.
yourself out there over a period of time. Now, what's going to happen in that period of time when you're putting yourself out is you're going to validate your ideas. In the process of doing that, you now see that what do people really want to hear from me? Now, if there are 100 people that want to hear something from you, and you're putting that thing out in like 1 minute pieces, 2 minutes, or 1 page captions, all of that stuff. If there are 100 people that like that come back for that every day, I bet you there's at least five of them that are willing to pay money for more,
Or more. Mm.
right? So if there are 100 people that are happy to hear from you, that always wait for your teachings, that if you don't post, they come to ask you, how far now? Where's our Monday
Where have
morning
you been
disco?
now?
That's
Mm.
a pointer. That's a pointer. Out of that 100, there'll be at least five that are willing to pay money. But if you do not have an offer, if you do not have a product, if you don't have an ebook, if you don't have an online course, if you don't have a membership, if you don't have anything, after they've learned from you and they want more, they're going to take their money to somebody else because that money must be spent.
Yes.
They're going to take that money to somebody else. You've laid the foundation for them. You've
But they'll
done
go
your job.
somewhere else to money.
Yeah, you were John
Wow.
the Baptist. You laid
Wow.
the foundation, but they need more, and that more they need to get it from somewhere. So you're
Yes.
better off positioning yourself as the person who's able to offer that more. So you see, this is not the only model, or this is not the only way, but social media is like
But
the lowest hanging fruit
hanging.
for someone who's like wanting to charge, like going from, oh, I haven't made any money online to I want to begin charging. You need to begin putting your thoughts out there. And so people sort of know you, people like you, people trust you because they've heard from you. And over time, you sort of established yourself. And another trap people fall into is they feel like they need to be experts before they do this. But if that were true, I have no business being on this live teaching, because when did I start content creation? 2018. In the grand scheme of things, 4 years is nothing. 4 years, doing anything for 4 years is nothing. Really, right? No
They tell you
matter
10
how.
years, 10,000
Yeah,
hours of an
it's 5
expert.
years, 10 years, 15 years. Like there's no which imagine somebody tells you I've been a doctor for 4 years. You don't want them to touch you, right? Or someone
Doctor.
says, yeah, you feel like if somebody tells you he's been a doctor for 4 years, you're like you still think he's a, what's the word now?
Mid-level.
Yeah, you still think he's a beginner. But I've only been doing this for 4 years, and I'm still able to teach so much because if I am on year 4, there's somebody who's in year 1 who needs what I have to offer. There's someone who's in year 2 who needs something that I have to offer. There's someone who's in year 3, and even if I'm on year 1, there's someone who is in year
There's
0.
somebody who has not even started.
There's somebody who has not even started that needs something that I have to offer, right? So don't put yourself into the box of, oh, I have to be an expert, or I have to have attained the highest point before I can do this. I have to, you would be doing yourself a disservice where you're comparing yourself to people that you should be learning from.
Yes, competing with people we should be learning. The thing.
Do you get? You're competing with people you should be learning from. You're looking at people who have already put in years and years and years, and you're comparing yourself to them, and you don't realize that the difference between you and them a lot of times is not the talent, it's time. It's just time. It's just time. It's just time, consistency, repetition, all of that put together. Because it's like, sometimes we ask people that we consider successful, what's the secret and all of that, and they say the same thing over and over again. And it makes some young people mad because they're like, oh, you're just holding back the secret. But there's no secret. There's no secret. Sometimes there's no secret. You just do it over and over and over and over and over and over again. Some people are more successful because they've done it more times than the average person. That's all. So yeah, I hope I answered the question.
I love it already. Thank you so much. Let me see. Guys, if you have questions, I think you can begin to drop your questions as well in the comments. Not in the comment section, you can use the question box just so that we don't miss it in the chat. But this is really being a great session, especially with some Gen Z love overnight success. I love it. Now, I really want us to talk about retaining an audience, building a community, because I know that is something that, you are also an expert on. If we don't talk about that tonight, we have not really said so much, because I know that is also something benefits a lot of people. How do you retain an audience? A lot of times people come to say, see, we come online, we're doing these things. People come and they go, just like you said. How do you retain an audience? How do you build a community? How do you sustain them? You already said join one, but how do you retain and keep when you start building yours?
That's a good question, and I'm so glad you asked. First of all, you need to be someone who understands that you need to treat your audience as human beings. Let me explain. So on social media, every now and then somebody will come to me and say, Salem, I want to grow my Instagram. I'm like, oh, great. How many followers do you have? And they're like, only 200 or only 500. And I always be like, I'm like, what do you mean only 200? What do you mean only Imagine there were 200 people with you now in the room that you're in. Just imagine there were 200 people, you know, and I do that to give them perspective, to tell them that social media makes us just see people as numbers. But 200 is a lot of people. Do you understand? If 200 people wish you happy birthday, that's a big deal. But on social media, 200 followers is just 200
No,
followers. You know, it's
actually.
just 500 followers. And then I asked them a follow-up question. Like, out of your 200 followers, tell me the names of 20 people. And most of them cannot name 20 people. I'm like, you're not ready. You're not ready. You know, you need to serve the people that are at the table before you try to bring more people to the table,
I
right?
love it.
Because
Yes.
if you don't serve the people that are there, when new people come, I don't, I don't know if anybody has ever had the experience of like joining a new company, and then like the CEO is saying, "Wow, this is an amazing place. We're a family here," and then people who have been there since are just like,
They're just looking at you.
they're just looking like, "Okay, I give you 1 month, you see," you
You'll be
know.
lost in the crowd.
Because you just can't hide it, right? So you need to give more to the people that are already there. You need to think of each of your followers as an individual. And I get that, like when you're working in digital marketing and everything, I mean, we're crazy about numbers. You know, we say, oh, I had 30,000 leads, 2% conversion rate, you know, all of that stuff. And it's interesting, and we need to do all the math, but we need to come back to the fact that these are people. Each one of them has a family, each one of them has a background, each one of them has hobbies, each one of them has fears and anxieties and things
And they
that
are
make them
friends.
happy and things that make them excited. Each person is an individual. So anybody
Yeah.
who's if you're trying to build an audience, you don't need to think like this. You don't really need it. Just build your audience there. But if you want a community, you need to think about your audience as people. That's the first step, right? And now, why am I saying this? Because communities form around impact. A lot of times, people who want to build a community are thinking, you know, at the end of the year, I want to build a community of 1,000. I ask them why. Why do you want 1,000 people? Why are you thinking of the number you want on day one? Is there any reason why? And then when I probe, it's not like there's any problem with it. Oh. Having goals is amazing. It's even important. But I try to poke holes because so that they can see for themselves that, wow, I'm not really thinking about the individual. I'm thinking about the number.
The numbers.
And if you're not thinking about the individual, you can't build the number. The reason why
Okay.
when people build the number, for example, that's why people do like for like, because it's just, they're just about the number. That's why people buy followers, because it's just about the number. But if
Yeah.
you claim that you're not just about the number, you need to stop and ask, why do I want 1,000? Why do I want 2,000? Is there anything that I can only achieve by having 1,000 that I cannot achieve with 100? Why do I
Yeah.
want a bigger number? Right? When you ask that question, I'm not encouraging you to think small. I'm encouraging you to interrogate your motives.
Yeah, your intentions. Evaluate them.
Do you
Love it.
understand? You have to
Yeah.
evaluate your intentions. So, because now, back to what I said, communities form around impact. If somebody wakes up and says, oh, I want to build a community, and then they just, you know, open a WhatsApp group and put people there, that's not a community, that's a WhatsApp group,
Okay now.
right? Communities form around impact. If there's no impact, it's not a community. Do you understand? And sometimes that impact, the thing people lose sight of is impact doesn't have to start with 100 people at once. Sometimes impact is one person, which is why I said join a community. There are so many communities that have come out of my own, and I love it so much because sometimes somebody will be in my community and they are such a resourceful member of my community, and maybe their skill is in some area that me, I'm not skilled. So it's easy
Yeah.
for people to join their community because there's something that is
Yes.
special about them. Do you understand? When they create their community, they already established their value. So sometimes, you know, making that impact starts with one person. and that one person to two people, and those two people, each of them tells their own friends, their own group of friends. Maybe this person has a group of 3 friends, this other person has a group of 5 friends, this other person has a group of 10 friends, and then that's how communities form. And then it gets to a point where the thing all these people have in common is that they've been impacted by you, they've been impacted by your knowledge. That's when you have community. You understand? So I'll back to everything I said. Just try and join a community. Be a very resourceful member of a community. Think about your audience as people, because what being a leader means is that you have access to the hearts and minds of people. You have the power to influence their decisions. So you need to be someone who's thinking of how you want to cater to their heart and their mind too. Because if you just have access and you're not using it, you're like a bad driver. You're like somebody who is in the driver's seat, but you can't drive. It's going to be a problem.
What's the point?
Right? And that's why a lot of communities are short-lived. So many communities are short-lived. Even though I understand that some communities are time-bound, some communities are only meant to exist for a year, for a certain period.
Maybe for a project.
Maybe for a project or for a certain season, or people in a certain season. But a lot of communities self-destruct, and they don't have to. So if you want to build a community, think about people, because communities are made up of people, not numbers.
People, not numbers.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Salem, for that. I think that is really, really powerful. It's been a wholesome conversation tonight, like someone said. I agree with you 100%. I'm literally taking notes. You need to see my notes right here. It's filled. And I love every single thing. Yeah. And I think I have one more question from my side. Guys, if you still have any question, you can still drop it now, because I really don't want to keep us too long here. One more question for me would be, is it really necessary, or is it possible to separate your personality from the work that you do? I mean, you're an introvert. Should that impact or affect your business, how you show up online? Because this is something that is very fundamental for me as well. And I had a conversation with someone, and the question was, the head of Coca-Cola or head of marketing for Coca-Cola, if he's an introvert, for example, does that mean we should not market? Does that mean he should not show up online? I mean, it was a mixed conversation, but I really want you to speak to it, because I know your personality. I don't know so much about it, but maybe it's a bit different from how you show up. How do we separate these things? Should it impact how you show up online?
Yeah, I think so. The problem with introversion, for example, is that people see it as a problem that needs fixing. And when you see it as a problem that needs fixing, you see yourself as having a disadvantage. You see yourself like, I'm walking around with a disadvantage on my head. But the beauty of introversion is a lot of introverted people are more observant than the average person. We're able to see perspectives on something that the majority of people are not seeing, because they don't stop that long to look. But because we, by default, we are calm, we're seeing so many things, we're seeing so many perspectives, we're able to process details of a matter and details of people in a way that most people are not. Now, that's a gift that the world needs. But now the problem is now, the world needs this gift, but me, I don't know how to talk. Right?
Yeah. So where's the convergence?
Exactly. And I think that's where I'm grateful for technology and the gift of content. Because me, I'm an introvert. Like, if anybody has ever met me in person, you know that I don't like to talk. I don't even like to be noticed in the first place. I just be in the corner. But on social media, I'm really loud because I have very loud thoughts. Now, because I don't get to express a lot of them in social situations, all of it just goes into content. Content is sort of my outlet. And when you check, a lot of the most, what's the word now? A lot of the most prominent people in entertainment, music, movies, theater, they are introverts, because even movie directors, writers, a lot of them, because there's so much that comes from that place of isolation. There's so much that comes from that place of, being happy in your own company. There are people that cannot, like, You know, have you ever been in a restaurant by yourself and somebody just comes to talk to you? Because in their mind, they can't believe that you came to a restaurant
Yep.
alone. I know. And I have to explain to them that, no, I'm fine. Like, this was the plan. I'm actually great. I'm happy right now. You know? So I think we all need to stop looking at it as a problem that needs solving and think about it as this gift that we've been given that allows us to have a very special perspective on life. Now, however, if you're an introvert and you have a strong sense of purpose and you feel like you need to reach out to people, is normal that your introversion is getting in the way of that, right?
Yes.
But the fact that you're introverted introversion is not the same thing as being shy. Introversion is not the same thing as being timid. Timidity implies low self-esteem. Timidity implies that when you think about yourself, you think other people are better. And that now influences how you relate with them. So you need to be aware that you have a gift, and that gift needs to reach the world. And, you know, me, when I have to go for events, I have to mentally prepare that, okay, I'm going to teach. I'm going to interact with people. I can only do it for a few hours, right? I mentally prepare for that. So that's not me coming out of my personality. No, that's me fulfilling my purpose. I have a gift. This gift needs to reach the world. What do I need to do in order to put myself in a position where I can reach these people with my gifts? Right? But what people think is that, I have to be an extra. No, you're not changing your personality.
Don't have to be.
And it becomes better with practice. It becomes better with practice. Everything that a mother does, she didn't know she could do it until she had a child. Almost like, even maybe I should not go so far. Even we as adults, there's so many things that you have to handle that if somebody told you a year before that you'd be handling this kind of, let's say your portfolio has grown or your money, and you know you're making so much money now that you're thinking, where should I even invest? Should I invest there or should I? And 1 year ago, you didn't have the only thing you're thinking about this same you. You know, the only thing that you're thinking about is how do I make sure I have enough food? How do I make sure I have transport? But now those things are even standard. Like you don't even think about transport anymore. You don't think about food anymore. The only thing you're now thinking about is what do you have, right? So that's how life is. It gets better with practice. You do it once, it's hard. You do it twice. You do it 10 times, it's still hard. But you practice, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again. You know, that repetition, because you understand that I have a gift. This gift needs to reach the world. Somebody needs to hear what I have to say. This thing that I have learned in this place of isolation, in this place of meditation, in this place of, you know, considering the world, somebody needs this. I don't know how to talk to people. Okay, but I can talk to my camera. That was me. That was me years ago. I didn't know how to talk to people. I can talk to my camera. And from there, because I was just making content. And then from content, people started inviting me for physical events. And I used to just tell them, no, it's only on Instagram.
It's not that deep,
I beg, don't cover me. I beg you, please. And I just used to say no. But I mean, I started to say yes, you know. And first time when I used to go to events, I used to always carry my manager. If my manager was not available, I would carry a friend, you know, and sort of like my emotional support person, you know, so that when I look in the crowd, I see somebody I know.
There's someone you know.
At different points, I'll drag my friend, I'll drag my girlfriend, because she's like bubbly, she's extroverted, she's full of energy. So like I would drag anybody, like I'll just come with me, or you know, anything to just make it work, you know, as much as I can. Even till now, let me know, like till now, I don't go to events alone. I don't go to events alone because I understand that I know my personality. I know that if I'm alone, if I'm supposed to spend 3 hours, after 1 hour, my body will start doing me, go home, go home, go home, go home. You know?
Yes.
But if I'm there with a friend, if I'm there with a familiar face, I'm more willing to stay, you know, I'm more willing to, you know. So yeah.
Interact. Awesome. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I think there are 2 questions. I don't know if you still have enough time to answer this. Okay, I decided to pin it so that I don't miss it. This one, though there's one also in the question box. This person said, sorry, I came late. Join a community, like gather a couple of my friends and hang out. Or, so it means that you don't understand what a community means. So that conversation wasn't so much for you. It was for people who already know what a community is and they're trying to build it. But if you listen to this conversation, you catch up on what we're saying. Now let's read this one that was pinned. Hi guys, I just got this offer to teach photography to some youth, and this is going to be my first time. How do you advise I charge for that, please? Okay, Salem, you want to go for it?
Yeah, I think you're still going to answer, but it depends. It depends.
Mm,
Teach photography to some youth. Who's your client? Who's paying? Is it the government? Is it a non-profit? I won't lie. Me, I don't charge everybody the same thing. Depending on who you
yes.
are, I might decide to. I can profile you and decide to charge a lot more, right? Because sometimes you say, okay, my rate is 50 naira, right? And some people
Mm,
reach out to you and then you tell them 100 naira. And let's say that 50 naira, when you tell other clients, they'll be like, how much last now? We only have
mm.
40, we only have 45, and you end up collecting 45 every now and then. And then some people reach out to you and then you just decide, let me double it. And you tell them 100 and they're like, oh, no problem, send invoice. That's when you now realize that even that your 50,
Oh my
you've been
God.
cheating yourself, right? And even that 100 you charge, you could have charged more, right? So I would
Yes.
say it depends on who's your client. I feel like I need some context in order to answer this question.
To answer.
Who's
Yeah.
your client? How many people? I'm guessing it's not the youths that are paying. If the youths were
Mm,
paying, that's a different case. But I'm guessing you're
mm,
going to your so you can charge either per hour or per day
mm,
based on what you're comfortable with, how much effort is going to take on your part, and
mm.
who the client is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, they said 2 hours each day for 3 days.
Yeah, so I mean, how much do you charge for how much do you charge for a photo session, for
Yeah.
example?
Mm,
You're a photographer. How much do you charge for photo sessions? Do you charge based on how many images you're sending, or do you charge on how many outfits, or do you charge based on how many hours the shoot is going to take? All of that, multiply it
mm.
because it's your time you're spending. So think if I was spending this time working, how much would I be making? Right? And this is teaching. Is it difficult for me? Is teaching more difficult for me than shooting? It is. I need
Mm.
to charge more. Do you understand? Can these people
Yes.
afford it? So all of those things come into play as you're
Okay.
deciding how to charge. But make sure that like whatever figure that you're comfortable with, add something on top.
Mm. And then push it to them. Okay.
Yes, add
You can
tax.
also charging, in that rate, not to necessarily copy them, but just to have an idea of what is realistic. Then you look
Yeah.
at your own skill set, something just to be ensure that you are not below, and then you are not
Hmm.
just also overshooting and all of that. But I think with that you can run with it. Urban my hotel. Yes, with what Salem said, you should be able to put one or two things together and propose to them. You can propose two methods, hourly, fixed. Just do you. I'm sure you'll be fine. Thank you so much, Salem. Guys, if you still have any other question, one more, but
My
if not,
pleasure.
we should be wrapping any moment from now. And in closing, right, before we close, I want us to do something, guys. Everybody on the call, myself and Salem, we're just going to pause for 1 second. Please take a screenshot and you are going to post this after live. You are going to say something that jumped out for you, something you learned on this session, and you're going to tag Salem and you're going to tag me. Post it on your status, your Facebook, your Instagram, whatever platform. Just tag us. Whatever you learned today, we want to see it. So we're going to pause just 1 second. Oh, yeah, screenshot. Guys, are
Me,
you
I'm already
ready?
smiling. I'm already smiling.
I was born ready. Guys, okay, do the screenshot. We're waiting for you all. Awesome. I know you guys have done. Don't screenshot when I open my mouth, though. It's not fair. Awesome. Thank you, Salem. Thank you,
My
guys. So we're waiting
pleasure.
for that. In wrapping up, right? I just want you to drop one or two thoughts for us. We've learned a lot tonight, and I just think I have my notes. A lot of people will still listen to this. People watch the replay more than they join the live. So I know that this will still reach a lot of people, and some of us here will still have to go back to be able to take note of some of these things as well. So it's been an impactful session. I am really so happy that you made it. Thank you so much. And in wrapping up, what do you think? What are you dropping for us as a thought?
Man, I would say give everything time. Like everything takes time. Everything good takes time. And you'd be surprised how much of a gift time is, right?
Mm.
Like this year, I had a terrible last year. I'm not going to lie. But this
Mm.
year, like so many things are just making sense. And it's not because I'm putting in any extra effort. It's not because I'm doing more work. It's not because I'm doing more networking. I mean, okay, I'm meeting a lot of people, but a lot of things just come together with time and you can't rush it. You can't
Mm.
microwave it. You can't, sometimes you can't do anything. You just have to wait. I mean, not wait, like just sit down and do nothing, but like hold on to, in the moments where you don't know what to do what you know,
Mm.
right? So if you're in a season
Mm.
where I'm not making enough money, I'm not, do what you know. Stay consistent at the one that is in your hand already and keep doing that. Do you understand? In the
Mm.
process of being diligent at that, you figure out what you need to do next, right?
Mm.
You will figure out
Mhm.
what you do. But if you abandon it and just say, I don't know what I should do, so you just stay. Nah, that's not a way to be patient. But just be consistent, be diligent, be nice to people, just be nice to people, be resourceful. Any place you find yourself, any community, if you're attending a class and, just be the person who is helpful to everybody. Just be the person who everybody is able to just easily identify. You need this, go to this person. Let
Go to
everybody
this one.
know the thing that you're the plug for. Let it be easy
Mm.
for people to know that, as much as you
Mm.
can. And even if you're in a place where you think you're doing the wrong thing, it won't be for long. You won't be in error for long. If you're in a
Mm.
place where you don't think I deserve more than this, or just be
Yes.
diligent. You won't be there for long. Just keep it there.
Mm.
Yeah. These are my
Awesome.
final
Thank you.
words.
Thank you so much for that. That was really a great wrap up, because I think with all of this, sometimes people are put under pressure. And I think that was really necessary, for a closing words to say, you know what, give it time as well. Grow in your
hmm
season. Things are seasonal. Don't get stuck.
hmm
Thank you so much for that, Salem. I really, really appreciate it. It was a great time. Guys, I see all the love to say. Please show all the love to him. It's been a blessing to us tonight, and we really, really appreciate it. Thank you,
Thank you
Salem,
for
once again
having me.
so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
thank you so much. The summit continues on Monday. In fact, I'm having another guest on Monday. That's PK Olukunle showing you. I call him the father of borderlessness
Wow,
himself.
amazing.
So yeah, so it's gonna be a part of the program as well. So guys, feel free to be a part of it, and I'm sure you guys would learn as well. Thank you, Salem, once again. We'll be shutting down
Thank you
right
so much
now.
for
After
having
you
me.
guys have done the screenshot, we'll see you all. Thank you, Salem. God bless you.
All
Thank you
right. All
so
right. Good
much.
night. Good night.
All right, good night. Thank you. All right, guys. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll be shutting down. You can listen to the replay. You can catch up on the conversation. And of course, the summit itself continues on Monday. So see you guys on Monday, 8 p.m. West African time. As always, you can check my page. You see the flyer as well, the details of what we're having on Monday. But I appreciate that everyone would join today. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Do have a wonderful night rest. Bye. Sorry for the people who couldn't take your question. I'm so sorry. We're already over time. This is 9:08. Usually it's 9 p.m. I'm so sorry. You can send this as a private message to Salem or to myself. We can get the answers across to you. You're welcome, guys. Thank you, family. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Thank you.